Welcome to another edition of Exit Philosophy. He's Mal, I'm Griff. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. And if you enjoy us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, don't forget to like, share with your friends, and leave us a comment. We really appreciate all of our viewers and subscribers, and we look forward to the start of the season in less than a week by the time you're watching this.
Yeah, Wednesday, right?
The Jays Friday against Athletics. I'm not sure when the Dodgers are starting or when somebody's starting, but yeah. Jays at the Rogers Center on Friday, 27th.
Yeah, it's unusual. Usually they're on the road because of massive upgrades to the facility, right? So
right, that's been the last couple of issues.
Finally.
And not only that, but not only are they starting at home, but they've got a pretty easy schedule the first three series before they have to face the Dodgers, and we'll get into that a little later. But you know, it's like or get off the pot here. If you don't start out 7-2 in the first 9 games, there will be a lot of social media questioning going on. And
can't wait.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's talk World Baseball Classic. Before we get into the final game, I just want to comment on the international umpires throughout the tournament, the broadcasters on the U.S. networks, and the small strike box on the screen, and and the lack of ABS system in the WBC. I know you were a fan of having no ABS. I'm a fan of the ABS, but we can talk about that before we get into the actual final game. I love that the broadcasters paid very little attention to the strike box. You know, if a ball missed and the umpire missed a call, they didn't dwell on it. And I think that made it much more palatable to watch. I know that at the end of the Dominican game, there's still, even Vlad, when he got back to camp, was still talking about the strike call that ended the game. But what were your impressions? I mean, the broadcasters, Yonder Alonso is usually a studio guy. Did one a week during the season. He was good. He didn't try to predict as much as a lot of broadcasters do, predict pitch by pitch. And John Smoltz was on the full Fox network, and he's listenable.
But I actually like Smoltz. I mean, people criticize him, but I like the way he thinks the game. You know what I mean?
Well, he has the credentials.
Sure does, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's often criticized, but I think it's quite unfair because he's not an analytics darling. You know what I mean?
What about the box being on screen? I thought with the ABS that they would not, for regular season games, would not have the box because it's a different box than what Secaucus, New Jersey is working with, or what the umpires are working with. What were your thoughts on the lack of it, whether it influenced games or, even the overall view of what the umpires did?
I can't stand it. I get it off the screen. I'll tell you, you get rid of that box, nobody's bitching and whining about, also we bury umpires for missing a call for 2 inches. Like this, I know I'm gonna die on the hill. I'm the old man yelling at clouds. I'm the last of my generation. I just don't like where it's going. You invite the enemy into your home. It's like watching Sinners. You invite the vampire in, trouble's coming. I mean, it's what it's going to lead to that I just don't like. Completely change the game. If you didn't see the ball and the box on your screen, you'd enjoy the experience so much more. Watch the game from the 80s. Watch it.
I was going to say, just watch the highlight World Series games, and there's no box, and the umpires are gods because they're always right. Nobody can say, "Oh, I missed that call," because there's no box on the screen. Well, and it's much more enjoyable. You're not fixated as a viewer on watching the box.
God forbid we have some gray in our lives and have to deal with a little adversity. and not have to be right or wrong 100, like this pursuit of being right all the time. It takes the beauty out of life, Rich. You don't get a manual for every task in your life, like stop looking for the answer. It makes people, it's why we criticize the nerds of the game. Like they're not attractive. They're not attractive people. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know, man. Like you don't make love to a woman with a manual. You know what I mean? You got to feel your way through it, brother. It's way better that way.
I didn't see that one coming.
But that's where we're going with this thing. That's where we're going.
The international umpires, and there were a smattering of major league umpires, but for the early rounds, for the pool rounds, there was a mixture of international umpires. I thought they did a great job by and large. The worst I saw was the head of Cuban umpiring in the first game.
Right.
He missed like 15 strike calls or
he was not good.
He was not good. And I went, uh-oh. But as the tournament went on, the umpiring was very good. Here's one that I hate, and Buck Martinez used to be guilty of this, is when a broadcaster would say on a strike call on a ball just off the plate, Buck would go, well, that was too close to take. Well, that should not be a thing. It's either a ball or a strike. And that's where I like the ABS.
I disagree. Yeah. I mean, I get that's the prevailing theory. I just don't think it's black and white. It's a strike if the umpire calls it. And the beauty of the game is pitch framing, the catcher moving in synchronicity with the umpire, trying to feel the right move at the right time to get a strike call.
But that's also the beauty of only having two challenges, is you better be careful when you choose a challenge. And I think it's going to come down to it's got to be a third strike if you're going to challenge, and you got to save one for later in the game. So framing will still be a part of it. But
that's my point, Griff. So we're not really trying to get it right. We're trying to create drama. If we're trying to get it right, you just challenge everyone. You get it right. Just get it right.
That would turn me off the game.
It's about so here's the big thing about that game, and I think you made the best point of it. Everybody's screaming about them losing on strike 3. I get it, or ball 4. You know what I mean? They would have been out of challenges most likely.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had the ability to challenge that.
Yeah.
And you think they'd have a challenge left to 2 outs in the 9th inning?
No, nobody's there. No.
So
nobody is going to. Okay, let's get to the.
We talk about this forever. It makes me angry.
I know. Let's get to the championship game here. Team USA loses to Venezuela 3-2. And what is it that we didn't appreciate about the Venezuelan team going into the tournament, going into the final 8, going into the final game?
We didn't appreciate that they would be good enough. I think they were just another team with some good quality major leaguers that would probably fall short of the Dominicans in the U.S., right? And frankly, they do. But in a short tournament, if you get a certain draw, you can find your way into the big game at the right time and win it. They're not the best country in the world. I mean, that's obvious. Should be obvious to anybody, but they're very good. And the thing I loved about the WBC is how much it meant to those countries. Like it was so important. I think that was the most surprising and thing that brought so much joy, is just the absolute importance that they put on something like this. It was really a pleasure to watch, like the emotion that everybody had, even not just Venezuelan team, like the Dominican team, all of them, other than the U.S. maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that, but I'll just follow up on that point about what it meant. I mean, here's a country, Venezuela. They had their president taken out of the country. The people back home are either 100% on board or against the new regime over there, which is the same regime, but minus Maduro. But yet the people who live in the U.S. and the people who live in Venezuela, when they showed the celebration after the win, it was exactly the same. The emotions were there. It brought a country together. It brings Canada together, but we really don't need it the way Venezuela needs it, the way the Dominican showed it, you know? It was really incredibly moving to watch that.
Well, and it goes beyond baseball, right? I mean, you think of what's going on in Venezuela and some other places, and it's an emotional, event that brings people together, and you've got to appreciate that, you know.
It transcends
more than just a game.
Yeah. But specifically Venezuela and the U.S., I think Salvador Perez should have been the MVP of the tournament. I mean, this guy is so in control of everything. He had 13 relief pitchers, and that was the difference in the tournament for Venezuela because their starters, I think, only averaged 3 innings per start, even with the great outing by Eduardo Rodriguez in the final. But Salvador Perez had 13 relief pitchers, and only 2 of them were 30 or more, and only 1 had over 190 innings pitched, major league innings pitched. So what you mentioned earlier about a tournament setting, it's not a 162 game schedule. These guys can get by, but they can only get by with the right leadership behind the plate. You know, I've often said to you, that's my philosophy, is that it's 27 one-on-one battles, and you win the majority of them, you got a good chance of winning the game. And Salvador Perez made these kids believe in themselves and made these inexperienced pitchers with great stuff believe that they could get the best, the most talented team ever put together. They could get them out, and they did.
And they did. That's right. That's right.
And they talk about the issues of teams, major league teams controlling what was happening. And Mason Miller and Mark DeRosa blamed the Padres for saying that he could only pitch Mason Miller if they had a lead, to protect the lead in a save situation. Well, once they got to the 9th inning, it was either win or go home. They weren't going to have a save situation. And if he was cleared to pitch 1 inning, like if they take the lead, they win the game in the 9th. So
yeah, I mean, again, it's just everything that DeRosa said just seemed to be, it just doesn't make any sense. And but I mean, like, if you can pitch, you can pitch. I mean, what are you saving them for? The next day?
Yeah, we'll get to Mark DeRosa in a second, because I wrote a column yesterday and pretty much outlined the 6 issues of Mark DeRosa. And yeah, in terms of being shut down by your major league team, the Cubs told Venezuela that Daniel Palencia was only going to be able to pitch in a safe situation, and he got in that safe situation and he blew them away. Zerpa, who was a great left-hander throughout the tournament, was really good. He pitched back-to-back. Emmanuel De Jesus was shut down by the Tigers. So I think they should, going into games, announce those restrictions so fans don't get all over the managers when these things don't happen. Let's talk Mark DeRosa. Yeah. Okay, first, I'll go point by point. Tarek Skubal is an early recruit for Team USA. He's comes to the conclusion because he's got $300 million on the line as a free agent down the road. True patriotism, money over country.
It's very good, right?
But they choose the one game for Tarek Skubal to pitch him against Great Britain. And we've talked about it before, but they could have, Nolan McLean, God bless him. But if you had Skubal, Skeens, and Logan Webb pitching the final 3 games, that would have been daunting for the opponents. was that, I mean, maybe they were looking ahead and saying, we're not going to need him, we're going to romp through this tournament. Do you think that was a factor in sort of wasting Skubal against Great Britain?
I can't for the life of me understand what the thinking was. And for him to still be around and pretend it's important to him is even more ridiculous. And he goes back, he pitches anyways. It's not like you're conserving him. He's pitching in spring training, right?
Yeah.
For the life of me, what's the difference? Like,
pitching against the Jays on the Saturday. So
yeah, I mean, sure, I guess you could argue that it's less stressful environment, but he's still throwing bullets. You know what I mean? So I don't understand it at all. Like if you're going to pitch in a big moment, in a big environment, it's like a hockey player going, yeah, I'm going to go back and play shinny with my boys instead of playing at the World Cup. I mean, I get it. You're going to play, you play. And it's just the constant weak ass excuses that would for everything they did out there. And
okay, point number 2, Cal Raleigh starts it off against Team Mexico by refusing to fist bump or shake hands with Randy Arozarena, who's a teammate with the Mariners. And then Josh Naylor, when they played Canada, he had a chance to think about it. Raleigh had a chance to think about it and say, this is ridiculous. We're in a tournament, we're in exhibitions, it's important, but these are my teammates. So Josh Naylor apparently texted him and said, I'm going to shake your hand. And he turned him down too. And then here's the bottom line is that Cal Raleigh finished second in MVP and had 60 home runs, did not start either of the last 2 games for Team USA. Do you think that was a factor?
I thought that was overreacting, right?
By whom? Fans?
No, by DeRosa not playing him.
Yeah. Well, he never said that was the reason.
Well, I mean,
but I can't think of any other reason.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just thought it was a little strange. I mean, the guy had 60 bombs. You know what I mean? So, I just find the whole operation there to be a little off. So, and not surprisingly, they snuck into the bracket, and then obviously it just didn't feel like they had the mojo going. The whole time.
No matter where it was, you felt they weren't going to win the tournament. And here's one. I mean, here's the one that was most embarrassing to DeRosa, and I'm not sure he'll ever get over it. I'm not sure whether he'll be back in 4 years to manage this team again, or whether it even maybe gets in the way of his desire to be a major league manager, which I'm pretty sure that he does have that wish. But when he went on with his buddies on the MLB network and said, well, we have our ticket punched to the quarterfinals, so I'm going to start so-and-so and so-and-so, Goldschmidt and a couple other guys. I think Ernie Clement started the game. And then they lose to Italy, and during the game, somebody's telling them, hey, there's a tiebreaker. We could be aced out if Italy loses to Mexico tomorrow and then certain things happen.
Yeah.
But he refused to acknowledge that he made that huge faux pas. And Pasquantino, when he hit the 3 homers and they beat Mexico, and he went on, it was brilliant. He goes, "You're welcome, America," without even being asked. And that was the most embarrassing that made that Mark DeRosa may never get over. But is that where you suggest that he lost the tournament?
Well, I mean, I think it's the whole thing. Again, I even, maybe I'm wrong, but bringing in the special ops guy to speak to the like it's just too much. It's just all too much. And I'm not sure. It just can rub people the wrong way. I think you put it all together, obviously not understanding where they're at with tiebreakers, all those things just together. I don't think there's anyone, but clearly, I mean, it would have been something if they did not make get through. That would have been really So I think you're probably going to see some sort of change just for all of the above, if that makes any sense. I think they need maybe, but maybe, that's the beautiful part about being, part of that program is they may not care either.
Yeah, well, they should care, because it's like it's almost like Canadian hockey, where we know we have the best players, but we don't always win the tournaments,
Yeah.
In hockey. But for those who weren't paying attention, the Navy SEAL that you talked about was part of the Osama bin Laden raid. And it sort of feels weird that he's being brought in to inspire the Team USA before a game. Meanwhile, Luis Ariz is in the dugout dancing, surrounded by Venezuelans, and that's their inspiration going into the game. But this was not for the final game where the SEAL came in. But it's just that baseball is a game of relaxed focus. And when you have a Navy SEAL talking about launching bin Laden into the Indian Ocean and how tough it was and how we got to be really focused, that's exactly what baseball is.
That's my point. I mean,
it's a different launch angle.
No question.
But
again, back to analytics. God damn it.
The final question here is copycat. Sports are copycat, but Canada does the Team Canada jerseys for BP against
again. Here we go. Right.
And that was brilliant. I mean, that was like, here we're going to be inspired by this, by our compatriots who lost to you guys the last time. We're going to try and change that. But then for the final, coming off the bus, the Team USA is wearing Team USA jerseys. Like, think of something original, really. And then they show Aaron Judge walk by wearing an Austin Matthews jersey, and you're going, uh-oh. And he went
going to tighten up in a big moment.
0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
Very Austin Matthews-esque.
Yeah.
That's right.
But, so it was a great game. It was a great result as far as I'm concerned. It was a great result, not because you favor Venezuela over U.S., but because of what it meant to the Venezuelans.
Yes. And you could see the joy, even the clips of people watching the game in Venezuela. There's just, how do you not just love every moment of that? So it felt really good. That's for sure.
The thing about the greatest roster ever assembled position players, not necessarily pitchers, because they had some strange choices on the pitching staff, especially in the pool round. But the combined Buxton, Cal Raleigh, Bregman, Bryce Harper, who had the big home run in the championship game, Bryce Harper and Aaron Judge combined to go 14 for 85 in the whole tournament. That's 165 batting average. So, they drew a fair number of base on balls, but that's strategic because you've got a bunch of pitchers who shouldn't be in those games pitching against them. So it was good strategy.
Except for Tugboat getting them all out for Canada.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid of nobody.
No. The post game, I took notes during the post game, and I was not thrilled with Rob Manfred. What were your? Did you watch the post game and
not really? He told me about it. I guess he was in the U.S. Dugout, was he?
Yeah, he was in the dugout talking to Mark DeRosa right after the defeat by U.S. And Venezuela's on the field and in their dugout celebrating. I think the commissioner should be with the winning team at that point, but he wasn't. And I found it amusing when they draped the silver medal over Bryce Harper, and he pulled him in for an embrace and a small chat. This is the same Bryce Harper who threw the commissioner out of the clubhouse in Philly during the regular season because he knew he was going to bring up salary cap and the negotiations that are going to happen. Well, they'll happen before December 1st, but December 1st is the key date of 2026. but I thought it was amusing that he finally got a chance to talk to Bryce Harper up close as he presented him a second place medal.
Was there no Cash Patel sighting anywhere? Was he not ready to go?
I'm sure he was there, but the bullpen, like these kids in Canada's bullpen was similar to Venezuela.
Yes.
Really no-name guys, and they pitched brilliantly through the tournament. And it's names that you weren't aware of that are double-A or below.
Yeah.
And the thing about, and Bo Naylor did a good job handling that the same way that Salvi Perez did. But it's, and you pointed it out right at the start, it's different for a short tournament than for 162 games.
Right.
So fans should not see the Team Canada pitchers like Matt Wilkinson, who was great, and I loved his attitude. Left-hander, not drafted, tugboat, whatever. And the way that he handled the situation should be great for Canadian fans, but don't expect him to be at the back end of any Major League bullpen for the next couple of years anyway.
No, and that's kind of the, like I said, it's a short tournament, so anything can happen. How many times have you seen guys, who are we talking about last year? Who made a big start and for the Blue Jays and the Easton Lucas, remember?
Yeah. And even Bowden Francis the year before, and then starts the season. And
over 162, that's the best part about baseball. The warts show, and that's what you love about it. But in a short tournament, with limited exposure, you like you said, it's 27 battles, so to speak, and you can find success because you don't have to face the guy again.
Yeah, and you know very well that any of the big boys in this tournament were not looking at video of Matt Wilkinson or any of those guys, Indigo and those guys. Yeah. They were just going on and say, well, we'll take care of business. And they didn't. And it was great. And it made for a competitive tournament with a lot of teams not having a lot of big name pitchers.
And again, Griff, it's what we've talked about before. Major League Baseball wants to grow this game internationally. They've made great strides. Obviously the Asian side of it it's grown a lot. But tournaments like this, where the U.S. doesn't win, and you see the joy from the Dominican players, Puerto Rican players, Venezuelan players, this does so much to grow the game. This is how you do it. It's not so much let's play the Giants and the Rockies for a weekend series in Australia. I mean, all part of it. But this is the stuff that makes it go.
And the thing that I enjoyed about the championship game, Venezuela-U.S., is that both those teams had 27 homegrown players that were born in that country. And there were only the Italians did. The Italians had 3 out of 27 born in Italy.
They're going to put up a good showing in the Olympics, right?
Well, that's it. That's the worry if Europe. If the European representative in the Olympics, and there's only 6 teams in the Olympics, it's crazy. There's 60. There's more flag football teams. So, really,
why bother?
But if Europe is represented by Italy and the standards are much more strict in terms of representing your country in the Olympics, it's going to be a disaster for Team Italy. I mean, they only had 3 homegrown guys there, and maybe there's a handful of others who would qualify for the team, but that's not enough to get you very deep into a tournament. And 6 teams, it's going to be the 3 Americas, Venezuela, Dominican, and the U.S. And then I'm assuming Japan and either Korea or Australia and or Taipei.
And not Canada.
Yeah, and not Canada.
Yeah.
So, why would you shut down Major League Baseball for 10 days for a tournament that's only taking a limited number of your players? And you're shutting the game down. So, I think that by and large, this is proving the point that March is the right time to have the World Baseball Classic. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think in theory, the All-Star break would sounds like a good idea. It's just impossible. You need too much time. You can't shut down the season that long. You'd have to start it earlier. March, I mean, with all its warts and handicaps with pitching and things like that, you can get around it. I mean, that's baseball anyways today. You're going to throw 10 guys out there anyways, to get through a game. So I think March is just the right time, and it gets people excited about what's to come for the season too, right?
Yeah, the old men shouting at the clouds are the ones who say March is not the right time because the players have to get themselves in shape. Come on, they show up in shape. The Caribbean countries have all played, not all the players in this tournament, but they've played all winter. Their season ends in February. And so now they're ready to play. And the American players and the North American players come in to training camp. Yeah. If they know they're going to the WBC in another 4 years, if they know, they'll be ready to go. There's no questioning.
That's right.
I think something needs to be done about the insurance stuff. I think
Puerto Rico really suffered there. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, they lost Correa, they lost Javier Baez, and they lost Lindor. And then José Berríos, who turns out was shut down even by the Jays after they examined him before he was going over for the semifinals. But people show up early, ready to play. I remember with the Expos, and I wrote this last night, but John Bateman, who ended up with the King in his court softball, he was a catcher for them, but he was the Expos regular catcher for the first 3 years. He showed up in 1971, and he was like, there was a mandatory weigh-in the middle of March, and he knew he was well over the weight limit. He would have been about 250. So he wore a skin diving wetsuit and ran poles, and that can't be healthy for you. But,
no.
I mean, you're going to lose water weight, and maybe after he weighs himself, he can go back to what he was doing, which is a lot of drinking and eating.
Well, we used to, we had a weight loss competition back in the day with the Jays, and I won't say who, but just before the weigh-in, we would go into the sauna with garbage bags on and put the stationary bike in there.
Oh yeah,
just to win the contest. Not healthy though. Not healthy. But you would lose 4 or 5 pounds real quick. So those stories are great. But Griff, that's what spring training started for, was to get guys in shape. Like back in, that's the Yankees were the first to do it. Players would start the season out of shape. And then the Yankees decided to have a little gathering in spring so the guys could get in shape. And then now we have spring training. It's its own industry now, right? So I don't know if everybody realizes. I mean, spring training, it was truly to started to get guys in shape for the season.
Well, to me, here's the danger of, and I liked spring training when I was covering for the Star. I never missed a road trip because that was where the manager was.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was going to be 4 or 5 position players that were regular players, so it was good. And driving, as a writer, you're thinking of things you can write, and it worked out really well. But now, why would you go to Fort Myers when there's no major leaguers? The manager goes down, but he's got nothing new to say, and everybody's at the complex. I fear that the complex could replace Grapefruit League games and not Cactus League, because they're all so close. They're all within an hour. But I feel like you get more benefit, or it seems that teams feel they can get more benefit by sending their players, their pitchers especially, to the complex where it's more controlled environment. So there is a danger that spring training is going to kill itself.
Well, right. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever kill itself, they'll want to sell tickets. But yeah, I think it's become more of a way to look at your younger players, right? In facing when you go on the road, and they are facing the home teams bigger. Usually you start your guys at home, so it's as a fan, you've got to understand that if you see your team on the road, you're not seeing the actual Blue Jays. You're seeing a lot of the minor league guys and fill-ins and things like that, and maybe that's just what it is, and you can appreciate it for it. If you're going to go see your team, you better go see them at home. There's no question.
Yeah, it's spring training, especially in Florida, has changed more from getting guys in shape to advertising the upcoming regular season and allowing fans at home, especially in the cold weather cities, to see their guys getting ready and maybe sell a lot of tickets.
It's the same things happen to the All-Star game. The same things happen to the winter meetings. They're not about the actual product. They're more about promoting the brand. It's an infomercial for baseball. And I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just, you don't go to the winter meetings anymore thinking that that's where the action happens.
Yeah,
it's
right.
just, we're there to celebrate the game, talk about it endlessly. And the All-Star game, it's just about promoting the brand of baseball. And that's what spring training is now.
I remember Scotty Mack, when he was doing the show, he said that Major League Baseball is trying so hard to become like the NFL and dominate the entire 12-month annual cycle, because the NFL has been expert at it with the draft, with free agency, with the camp in Indianapolis. So maybe they're doing a better job with a WBC in March. So, it's in a window where there's no March Madness yet, and where the Super Bowl has been done for a month, and people are looking for big events, and maybe MLB is getting to think about that, because they've also got this weekend the equivalent of a futures game of their best pros. Their best young prospects, the spring breakout, it's called. And the Jays game is Saturday at 1 p.m. So it'll be interesting to watch that. But the MLB seems to have learned a lesson from the NFL, and there's a lot of lessons they can learn.
Well, the NFL sits rent-free in Manfred's head. That I can tell you personally. So he's very jealous of the brand, the product, and the coverage they get nationally. So there's no doubt he's certainly trying to follow that lead, and as you should. I mean, like any product, the longer you can engage with your fan base, the better it is. So all of these things, are meant to grow the game. Like I said, the WBC internationally, all these off-season events, that's what it's designed for. You don't want to ever, go away like they used to for a few months, or that's the perception. You don't want to go away, that's for sure. So you design your free agency at certain times, and these events at certain times to stay relevant, I guess. And I get it, makes sense.
Let's wrap up the WBC. I'll ask you what your top one or two surprises were. I'll give you a list here. Team Italy, Japan bowing out early, Korea making it to the final 8, the Netherlands being not even anywhere close to advancing, Cuba, we know they're struggling on the island, and that's where most of their players were getting ready. It's not like Venezuela where the players were all in North America already, but Cuba, they were home and they had power outages and they had shortages of everything. So that's on the list of surprises, but not really. And then Puerto Rico not being able to field their best offensive team. Well, what surprised you or you wish would change for the next one?
I'd like to say Italy and Korea, but I predicted it, so it's not a surprise.
Yeah, you were 8 for 8. You were 8 for 8 in quarterfinals. That's impressive.
I think how good the Italian team played is certainly a surprise. They obviously beating the only team to outside of Venezuela get through to beat the U.S. until the last game. To me, they were the real story of them, and Venezuela were the real story of the tournament. I actually don't think there was a lot of surprises. I think it went kind of, other than the Netherlands, and maybe your perception of Team Czechia.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I think it kind of went the way it went. Like the Cuban team, Puerto Rican team, I think it's just unfortunate. I'd like to see them field their best team next time. That's and if you could do anything, I'd love to see the tournament be longer if you could do it. Maybe 2 out of 3s when you get to the knockout stage.
Yeah.
That would be more fun, I think.
Last question here. Who do you think gets to be a major league manager first? Cervelli with Italy or DeRosa with the U.S.?
Okay. I think that's already been answered, hasn't it? Maybe I'm wrong. DeRosa's got a pretty good gig already.
Yeah.
Actually.
But I think he's.
And I like him. I
liked him when he was a player with the Blue Jays briefly.
Yeah, I had him as a player.
All the time about being Brett Laurie's babysitter. And
that didn't go so well. I was
always telling him, you're doing a great job with this guy, Thumper.
He realized, I think, by April 15th that it was an impossible task.
Yeah.
I think he tapped out.
He's
like
a real
Kramer episode. I'm out.
Yeah. That's a great comparison. Blue Jays at the WBC. I'll go down the list here. Vlad was 8 for 18, 444 average, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 5 runs, 8 RBI, 2 walks, no strikeouts.
You couldn't have played better.
No.
You got to be excited as a Blue Jay fan for how Vladdy looks.
Yeah. I mean, considering that for the first 4.5 years, it was, Vlad's not a big game player. He's not clutch. He's not this. He got picked off in Minneapolis in a playoff game. And all of a sudden, the postseason last year and the WBC this year, and we both know how much confidence plays a factor combined with skill. And he had the skill. He didn't have the confidence. But now, what are you looking at with him as a regular season?
Well, I mean, I think you're just looking at him to just carry on and be one of the top stars of the game, to be in the stratosphere of the way he's being paid. And I don't mean that in a negative way, just that, Vladdy's got to be Soto and Ohtani and those guys. You know what I mean?
And we mentioned it last week, but all of a sudden, watching the Dominican play and watching Venezuela play, you see that Vlad is not faking any of his his being a kid or playing with joy and verve. This is just the way those guys play the game. And the Jays' big mistake 3 years ago was trying to get rid of his compatriots out of the dugout who were having too much fun and not producing enough wins. And I think even the Blue Jays front office is realizing they made a mistake at that time.
Yeah, they took the jacket away. They got rid of his buddy Teoscar. They were trying, and you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, I think they were trying to bring a different culture into the dugout. And I'm not going to fault them for it, but clearly, like you say, even today, I think they would probably go, maybe that wasn't the right direction at the time, like we needed to do. And they certainly are back to having fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you've proven that wasn't why he wasn't producing, it was confidence and self-confidence and team confidence and success. And he's had success for an entire month of October, and he's had success for a month of March in the heat of competition against the best in the world. And so I agree. He's going to carry into the regular season, and there should be no concerns about any mini slump that Vlad's in, because he's going to have a great season.
Yeah, he's the least of their worries. I mean, there's other guys that you're curious about, you know what I mean? But that shouldn't be Vladdy.
How about Okamoto playing every game for Team Japan? And they were a little disappointing they didn't get through. 4 for 19, 211 batting average, 2 doubles, 1 run, 1 RBI in their entire run. Is there concern for that, or is it just?
Nah. I mean, it's a short tournament. The profile I like with him coming over here, when you're looking at him and Murakami with the White Sox, Okamoto's just a more, I think, complete player. Bat to ball skills are better. He doesn't have the power. He doesn't have maybe his ceiling isn't as high, but I think for where the Blue Jays are at with their club, I think he's just a really good fit for them. The floor is more important than the ceiling for where they're at right now. And I think he's going to bring some stability and just, I think we're going to find out he's just a solid player all around.
And Alejandro Kirk from Mexico, 4 for 15, 267. I mean, I don't think it says anything about.
No, he's Kirky. That's it.
Yeah. So you talk about bat to ball skills, and that's a preferred skill that the Blue Jays organization likes. You look at the entire group of 9 position players that played for various countries in the WBC, and they combined for 14 walks and 15 strikeouts in 37 games. So that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Pitch selection, being able to put bats on balls, and that just reflects the philosophy of the Blue Jays organization.
Agreed.
Let's get to the Blue Jays at spring training and the odd and getting odder case of José Berríos. We don't think that he was ever slated to be in the opening day 5-man rotation. He might have been if it was a 6-man rotation, but you and I both agree that they were looking for a landing spot for José Berríos, because otherwise they've got him at $24 million a year for the next 2 seasons, 27 and 28, and that's not something with the stampede of good young starting pitchers on the way. That's not something they would love to be saddled with. They would love to have traded him, but he had inflammation coming in. He has a diagnosed stress fracture of his right elbow, which makes him untradeable. What do you think the future is for José Berríos?
I mean, well, the way their rotation's starting to deplete itself, I think Berríos' future is going to be as a Toronto Blue Jay, unless something changes. Right now, like you say, my belief is they probably came to an agreement that they would move him, and everybody was playing nice in the sandbox. But with that news that even Jose was unaware of because he didn't feel anything, I think it's just becoming obviously you can't trade him now, and I most likely get him healthy and get him on the mound. You're going to need him. I don't know if you saw the news just come through while we're talking about Trey, and we were talking beforehand about how unusual their approach was. Now we have an answer. I don't know. Did you see that? About his shoulder?
No.
So he's got a shoulder impingement. So Trey's on the injured list. So it's funny because we were just talking about how we were going to approach the subject on this podcast, and it just didn't seem right that he was being held back, and there was too many unknowns, and they were hiding him. And now we have an answer. He's going on the injured list. So.
Yeah, I honestly, and I know that teams do this all the time, but I honestly don't know why they're not more straightforward about situations that the fans are concerned about. And I know if you worry about the fans, that you're going to end up sitting with the fans. That's the old expression.
Yeah.
But like, this kid is going to be a big part of the Blue Jays' future. Everyone's wondering why he was being held back, hadn't been in a Grapefruit League game. And he'll probably be all right. It's shoulder impingements, if that's exactly what it is. They can be quickly taken care of, or relatively. But that why not just be straightforward with the fan base, with the media, and just say, he's having problems, and we're keeping it slow, and we'll let you know when we get a result.
I'll never understand it, and that's where they end up losing the PR game. And if they've made them, it's no surprise. They've made many, many missteps with public relations in their 10, 11 plus years. And why not just come out and say he's got a shoulder impingement? We're going to bring him along slowly. We don't expect any issues long term. And now it's like, like you've been hiding it from us. And I just don't see the value in it.
It also explains the sudden Max Scherzer interest. I mean, I'm sure there was interest in they keeping him at arm's length, and now it's all right, Max, we'll bring you in, and we're going to have you ready for opening day, which when he was signed, you and I both thought it would be like they'd take it slowly and get him ready for the middle of April or whatever, because they had so many bodies ready to pitch. Now it's down to five healthy starting pitchers. You're
down Berríos, you're down Bieber, you're down Yesavage. It doesn't take long for that depth to be tested, right?
So you're down to 5 starters, and I mean, I did research yesterday that if they give guys regular rest, they only need that 5th starter, which clearly is going to be who is it going to be?
Well, I was going to ask you who's going to be the 6th?
Lauer is the 5th starter. You need him once in the opening homestand, and then not again until April 20th, the 22nd game of the season. So Lauer could be available to start one game in the first 5 days and then pitch out of the bullpen until he's needed again. Or maybe by that time, somebody else is ready to come back. But
you might want to hold off on the 6-man rotation text.
Yeah.
Keep walking for a while.
I'll put the 6-man rotation idea in the back pocket here. But it makes you think of the LA Dodgers, who have unlimited resources money-wise, and they're not scared to sign guys with histories of time on the IL or injuries, because they've got guys ready to go. They count on guys being on the IL. You look at the Dodgers in the World Series last year in the postseason, they only had Yamamoto with more than 100 innings pitched as a starter. So they take into account, when they're overpaying guys who have an injury history, that they're not going to have them for the full season, which brings up Max Scherzer, a $3 million base salary with $1 million for each 10 innings that he pitches from 65 to 155 innings. So he can earn up to $10 million.
Right.
So that is a Dodgers style mentality where, and the Dodgers like to defer money. They can do it, but they sign more pitchers than they need, or it looks like they need, and then they use the IL to keep everybody fresh. So, these are well on the way to doing it with Yesavage.
Yeah, that's baseball in 2026, isn't it? Yeah. Like they're such a commodity. You just expect them all to break, and you just put them in the pile over there, and we'll get back to you later. I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but that's the way to do it.
And fans who worry about what it does to the team payroll shouldn't worry at this point, because it's not their money. There's no salary cap, which is going to be a big issue. The Dodgers are going to be a big part of any conversation from ownership in the negotiations leading up to December 1st and the end of the collective bargaining agreement. They're going to be huge. They're going to be the example of the evil of the game, because while they're spending all the money that they can, while they have a sweetheart broadcast deal, other teams have seen their TV revenues go down by 65%.
Yep. Yep. That's right. That's the big issue right now. That's the disparity. And next year is going to be a lot of conversation about that stuff, not about product on the fields.
I wonder if with Yesavage, I mean, he goes over the top in terms of his arm slot. I wonder if they're going to sort of lower it and he's going to lose that mojo, because over the top with a shoulder impingement.
I can't imagine he could do that. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just who he is, and that's his advantage, I think. I mean, let's just hope it's. I mean, here's the concern: he came into camp with it, and that's they said that, so it's still not better. You know what I mean? So clearly, so I mean, obviously it's a story to follow. So I just saw it, so. I'm sure there's more details to come, but it's going to be something to follow.
Shoulder impingement doesn't really give much room for interpretation. It is what it is, and there's a known time that it takes to correct, to get over it. So we'll see, but it certainly does cast a new light on what the Jays have been doing with their starting rotation and with their starting pitchers and stockpiling them. And Eric Lauer is now a key member of that pitching staff moving forward, at least for the first couple of months.
And being paid like a reliever in his mind.
Yeah, right.
He's in the rotation again.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That's right.
The spring breakout roster. I mentioned it earlier, but the concept is probably to keep. Remember when we were younger in baseball in the 80s and 90s? There wasn't that much information on young prospects in every organization. Drafts, you never heard of guys when they were drafted, and it took 2 or 3 years before you became aware of them. But now with social media and with all the avenues of information available, they probably needed something. It's a good concept, and it's the NFL thing of keeping Major League Baseball in the news. But there's so much interest in prospects, in farm systems, in comparing your guys to their guys, that MLB initiated a spring breakout roster series. And the games start Thursday through Saturday, I believe. And every team gets to put a 27-man roster of prospects, of their top prospects together. It's interesting. I think the Jays game is televised on Saturday at 1:00. I'll be watching it. It's very interesting concept, and it's something that baseball needs with all the information out there.
And again, it's you're just exposing more people to your product. I mean, so now you're doing, think of how big the college game has become too. There's more people paying attention to prospects and players, and rather than hiding guys or not treating them as to the same level as your big league product. Now you're getting some eyes on them. People want to consume this. How many times how much it's an industry, prospects like other sports, NFL, NBA, you draft guys and they're playing for you. Yeah. Baseball, you don't have that. So this is a good way to expose what's coming and what the future might look like, and get your fans to be engaged with, on another level with the next wave of players. I think it's fantastic. I mean, I can't wait to watch some of it myself, because we've only heard of these guys. Yeah. You can watch them, but you know what I mean. It's not the same level. I want to see JoJo Parker and King and Namala and Gage Stanifer and those guys.
Yeah, I think King was left off the roster, the Jays roster, but Arjun Namala, Juan Sanchez, who's sort of become the international prospect, and they're comparing Parker and Sanchez to Bichette and Vlad. Of course they are. Yeah.
That's part of the hype, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then you got Gage Stanifer, Javen Coleman, who I saw pitch on TV the other day, and as a left-handed reliever, strictly reliever. It looks like he could come very quickly.
He's one of those guys that it's a hat tip to scouts kind of thing, because I think he went to LSU and I don't think he was very good.
Yeah.
So he got drafted on what scouts see. And it's kind of interesting to follow a guy like that. He's not 6'7", but he strikes guys out, and it's the old thing: can he find the strike zone? So, but that's the kind of thing that when you follow, and that's the value of scouts. And I'm a big proponent of scouts rather than just numbers. And you've got to be able to see things that could turn into major leaguers, not necessarily how they perform in college.
Yeah, it's like when the Jays went to scout, I forget where the university was, but they saw Dave Stieb playing the outfield and then come in and pitch one inning, and all of a sudden he was on their radar, and they got him at a nice spot in the draft, and he became the best pitcher of the 80s. That's the sort of scouting that we're talking about.
And you can never replace that. Like you can look at results all you want, but you got to look at process to find the guy that can, obviously end up. We had a guy, I can remember he was on nobody's radar, but because of a key scout saying, keep an eye on this guy, he ended up on our top 10 list and becoming one of our top pitchers for a little while. That was Henderson Alvarez. Nobody would look at him when he was younger and go, right. he's a, but because you said, pay it, certain scouts said, no, that's the guy. And he ended up becoming the guy for a while. So
I remember in Anaheim betting with John Farrell, who was managing at the time, that I said, I'm looking at all your starting pitchers, and I'd say that the guy who has the best chance of pitching a complete game with under 100 pitches is Henderson Alvarez. And he looked at me, wow, I don't know. And then like the next night, he threw 99 pitches, a complete game, and Farrell was like giving me a hug for the first and only time ever.
First and last time.
Yeah, that was it. And I don't want to be seen ever hugging John Farrell because fans will not take to that too well.
Yeah, right.
Questions, we'll wrap it up. Questions remaining in Blue Jays camp, and the games end on Sunday, and they got 4 days off before beginning the season. On the Friday, they have an exhibition game on the Tuesday, and then they fly home. It's unusual that there's that much of a break between the end of camp and the opening day. But the thing is that we talked about it previously. They wouldn't be sending regular players if they had 2 more games scheduled. They wouldn't. Right. They wouldn't. And so I don't have a problem with that. But it'll be interesting. The issues that they have left, I still think they need to determine the last bullpen spot. They don't need any question now on who's going to be in the rotation. And they still have a middle infield spot to take care of. Are those a couple of question marks that you see?
Yeah, the bullpen's going to be fluid all year, though. You know that. Like whoever breaks camp, they might be gone 2 days later. So, I think that's just the thing. That's just the story of the game nowadays. Now, the same thing could be for the last spot as a utility guy, but I think that's a little more substantial. Who gets that position is it's going to tell you what they're thinking, right? Who they like, who they prefer. So I do think that's a bit of a story. I'm kind of hoping it's Yesavage just because I want to see it.
Yeah.
I've seen Leo, and I actually like Leo more than I think most people.
Yeah, we talked about that. You're a fan, I'm not. So.
Yeah, but I just want to see what it looks like when the games start and.
If they put Jimenez on waivers, do you think somebody grabs him?
Probably. Yeah.
So, that would be the thing to do the way that they did it with Yariel Rodriguez is you put him through waivers. Nobody wants a contract. He ends up in Buffalo, and you can call him back anytime, and you're paying him good money. But that's not the same situation with Leo Jimenez.
No, he ends up in Miami. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how that works.
But okay, that takes care of that. We'll wrap it up with I have in the March Madness, I got Michigan as my chalk and I got Iowa State as my dark horse. Have you gone that deep? Have you thought about it?
Well, what seed is Iowa State?
3, 4, or 5, somewhere in there.
Wow.
But I saw them play and just crush Kansas during the regular season.
So that's in your brain, right?
That's the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, no question, right? Wow, the dark horse. I don't even like dark horses now with the NIL. I have Arizona in my bracket.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna say there are no dark horses.
Yeah. Well, that happened last year. I think it was all first seed. You know.
So here's the funny thing: you watch all these shows, and they give you all these trends. That how many this seed, that seed. Like the world's changed. It doesn't matter anymore. All the best players are on the best teams. So it's less likely to have upsets. Less likely.
The thing about Arizona is I got burned by them for years and years and years because they always look good. But the Pac-10 never did well. The Pac-12 never did well. And now that doesn't exist, so it doesn't matter. That conference doesn't exist.
They're not burdened with that anymore. That's right.
Anyway, we'll check in next week, and we'll see. It'll be close, or maybe we'll do it after opening day when we've had a chance to check it out, check out the rotation, check out the moves that were made to get down to opening day. But it's what WBC has gone for years, but it really was a great tournament and really brought itself into prominence.
Pardon my ignorance, but what time is opening day game? Is it a 4:00 game or is it a 7?
No, I think it's a night game, regular night game.
It is a regular night game.
Yeah.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be opening day.
Yeah, but they wouldn't pull the dome back and have the sun come in anyway. So
no, for sure. But yeah, maybe we wait till the Saturday to do it. So we at least talk about opening day. So
for sure. All right, Mal, and thank you all for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Don't forget to comment and share with your friends, and we will be back at you next week. Thanks, Mal.
Thank you.